Hello, my astrology family. This is Lada from astrolata.com, and today I have here with me one of your favorite astrologers, Darren, and he's been preparing this presentation for us and the course that will accompany it for a long time. And we're going to talk about yogas. For me, this is one of the most fascinating topic in astrology. Is the first thing I always check in a horoscope when I look, and Darren is master at explaining yogas. Hello, Darren.
Hi, Lada. How are you?
Great. I'm so excited to do this to you. Of course, we're a bit saddened in the astrology community because our beloved teacher, Nicholas Stojanovic, suddenly decided to leave us for heaven. And we're quite saddened, but we got to carry on spreading knowledge. And
Yeah.
yeah, we were all kind of shocked. And we all love him. You know him as well. You met him in Bulgaria.
Yeah.
May his soul continue to work for astrology from above. But we already got quite a few signs from him, his family, and me. So I know he's busy and working hard from there because he's organizing things from there about his legacy, family, and it's so clear. So anyway, let's get back to yogas, my favorite subject that I am obsessed with.
Okay.
Tell us what yogas are.
Yes. Sorry. So basically, yoga just means that it's just showing how the planets can be distributed in all kinds of ways, and it just bonds you to certain karmas in your life. And some yogas can give some very special effects, whether it's good or bad. And there's all kinds of yogas. There's thousands and thousands of them. And the way I learned was very, very kind of all over the place and messy. So it kind of inspired me to want to teach it in a very organized fashion. And the main four important yogas that I will be teaching are the Raja yogas, Artha yogas, Kama yogas, and Moksha yogas. And these four yogas are very important because it could really show what a person's purpose is in life. And everybody has a purpose in life. Whether you think so or not, everybody is born here to do something. Everybody has a certain kind of karma. And there's some other miscellaneous yogas that I think that are important too, which I will be educating you guys, for free today. They're basically yogas that are basically these are the kind of yogas where it's more about how to interpret a planet in a sign. And the class that I'll be teaching, the four yogas, will be about combining house lords. So a lot of people, you know, when you study astrology and learn astrology, you're learning yogas. People don't realize that they're learning yogas, but they are learning yogas. If you know how to interpret house lords, you basically already learned 144 yogas
Wow. Yeah. And the
because it's 144. Yeah, those are called the 144 Baba yogas.
Mhm.
So that means like the Lord of this house is in this house, the Lord of the first house in the 12th, the Lord of the second and the third. That's a Baba yoga. It's it's a very simple yoga, but it's a yoga.
Mhm.
So
And that ties you
so
to
yeah, that's what I'll
certain,
be teaching today.
so it ties you to certain events like the four paths. For example, you teach how people
Hmm.
calculate that. And for example, if someone comes to you and says, well, I'm thinking of going into an ashram or joining, like retreating from life, and you look at their horoscope and you say they have a lot of artha, which are yogas, which is to
Hmm.
fulfill material responsibilities in this lifetime. So you tell them,
Right.
actually you have a responsibility. You come here to make money, profession, to be active in the outside world and take care of those that you're responsible for. Or the other way, someone might be like, oh, I work so much, I work so hard. And you look, they have no artha yogas, which is to fulfill material responsibilities, but they have moksha yogas, which is to spiritual
Hmm.
liberation. So you have to tell them, take a break. You're not here in this lifetime to work. You're here actually to spiritual work, to be held by others, maybe by a spouse, maybe by support by the government, maybe by a trust fund, but usually,
Yeah.
and there is the greatness yoga. You're here to do great things. You're here
Yeah.
not care what others think. Greatness yoga is you get divine inspiration and you go and do it no matter what. And the greatness
Mm-hmm.
yoga, the Raj yogas, like people, not necessarily everyone that is famous has them, but everyone that has done something unique has them, you know. And then,
Yeah,
so they're
those are
fascinating.
the best ones to have.
Yes.
The Raja Yogas are the best ones to have because it's the one that fulfills your inspirations and the thing that makes you ultimately happy, and you wind up having a career that you like. It can help you figure out what you should be doing for a living. And with the Vedic charts, they have the square and
Mhm.
the diamonds. Those diamonds are the angular houses, which are action oriented houses. That's why they design it that way. Whereas in Western astrology, it's the wheel, but you can still figure out which houses are the angular houses.
And we're going to be working with tropical zodiac, let's say that, tropical zodiac,
Yeah,
whole sign,
tropical zodiac.
whole sign system. But yes,
Mm-hmm.
they're just so fascinating. I was
Oh,
looking at the chart of Princess Diana, for example, and she has no Artha yogas, which means she was not here to work, make salary, pay
oh, you
bills.
froze again.
She was a hello, hello. Sorry, had a little technical problem, but I was checking the horoscope of Princess Diana, for example, and she had no Artha yoga, so she was not here to work, to go pay bills, to take care of
Mm-hmm.
family. She had a lot of greatness yoga, which is she did great things here. She followed her inspiration, what her heart was telling her, and she had a lot of liberation yoga, spiritual liberation yogas as well, and a lot of kama yogas. So she was relationships were very important for him. But they're fascinating. If you're wondering what's your purpose here, these are the yogas that Darren will be teaching how to calculate, how to see. He'll explain in depth what each of those yoga means. But before you have prepared for us as an introduction into that course, which will be in May, if
Mm-hmm.
anyone wants to take it, it will be 2 parts, 2 days on Saturday and Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And Darren is an amazing teacher, and I'll be there as well. But can you carry on with your presentation that you prepared for us?
Yes, yeah. Oh, really quickly, before I get into that, part one will be about the four yogas me and Lada just discussed, and part two will put more of a focus on wealth and poverty yogas. So what makes a person struggle with finances and what makes a person be successful with money. And I know that's like a important thing that most people ask about. Most people get readings for financial stability or relationships, so part two will be about that. So, but what I'll be teaching today, there these are the kind of yogas that are very simplistic. It's about planets and signs and how many planets you have in air, how many planets you have in Earth, etc. And the other ones will be about yogas that are about gender, like how many planets you have in female or male signs. So let me share the screen really quickly. Oops, give me 1 second. Okay, Lada, do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I call these the counting yogas. There's a bunch of different counting yogas, and the first set of counting yogas is called Sankhya yogas. So basically, this yoga is about how many zodiac signs are being occupied. Like if like some people have empty signs or empty houses, and these yogas can give specific results. Like if you have 3 signs occupied, then you're this way. If you have 4 signs occupied, then you're that way. So if you have, so it's called Sankhya yogas, and they have seven different names. Like a Vina, you have Vina yoga, Dhamma, Harsha, Kadara, Shula, Yuga, and Gola. And these yogas indicate the amount of zodiac signs that are being occupied by the distributed 7 traditional planets. So these yogas, it's only about the traditional planets because it's about what you can see with the naked eye. So this can be revealing to the psychology and nature of a person and the kind of actions that they take. So, so like let's say, sorry, for some reason my computer is going slow. I'm trying to move to the next slide. Okay, here we go. So like Gola Yoga means that all 7 traditional planets are in one zodiac sign. So people who have this can be, feel isolated or lonely, and it makes a person be very narrow-minded because all of your planets are only in one area, and it can make a person be kind of self-absorbed because it makes it hard for them to relate to other people or to be understanding of different things because all of your planets are, clumped up together.
I don't think I don't even know a person that has all 7 planets in one sign. It hasn't happened in the last 100 years that all 7 planets in one sign. Has it?
I did. I only know one person who has it.
Oh.
It and one actress that has it. I'll show her chart as an example.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it was in 1962 where all the planets were in
oh,
Aquarius.
the Aquarius. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I knew one person from that time. He was a millionaire, billionaire.
Hmm.
He was actually, he had the moon in the next sign. So it was
Mm.
yoga, 2 signs, but he was still very isolated. He was not
Yeah.
the happiest person.
And you know what? One thing I've learned about yogas, even these set of yogas, sometimes you can get. It doesn't have to be exactly the way it's described in the text, the books or whatever. Sometimes you can get an offset version of a Gola Yoga. Like if you have 6 planets in one sign and the sun in one other sign, then you still can have the effects of a Gola. You'll still come off that way.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then a Yuga Yoga is when you have 2 signs occupied. So people who have this can have a tendency to be bipolar because you go from one extreme to another. Yeah, so you can of course these are very generic description. Like I with these kind of yogas, I don't get trigger happy with the interpretation of a client because some of the descriptions are not descriptive to other things in the chart. So like let's say Shula Yoga. Shula Yoga is when 3 signs are occupied. And this person, whoever has this,
I
will
do.
have a lot of, huh?
I do.
That's what you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so maybe you're someone who has a lot of strength, a lot of ambition. These are very Marsy people,
Mm-hmm. It's Mars.
so they can be independent, assertive, they can be encouraging and motivating, inspiring towards other people. But it's like the Shula is description of a spike, so it's like a triangle, so like 3 points, so symbolic of the number 3. And Mars is ruled by the number 3.
Yes.
So you could think of things like Mars, third house, numerology, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And a Kadara yoga is when 4 signs are occupied. So people who have this can come off Saturnian because it creates a square. So they're kind of square people. They're very fixed and kind of consistent in their behavior, very practical. And but you still want to be careful, applying these yogas because, like, if somebody were to have like Moon conjunct Saturn and a Kadara yoga, then they would fit the stereotype of the description of the Kadara yoga. And a Harsha yoga is kind of like people who are kind of Venusian, because all the planets are spread out. So when the more spread out the planets are, it makes it easier for the planets to behave their authentic selves without it being influenced by another planet.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
Mercury can be free to be mercurial without the influence of Mars or Saturn or whatever other planet.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dhamma yoga, it becomes more positive as you notice. So Harsha yoga is more about being thrilling and loving. Dhamma yoga is more about you become more wise and more happy and moral and righteous and charitable in nature. And
That's
Vina
how
yoga,
Dhamma Yoga is my husband, son, and daughter. They all have the 7 traditional planets. You only count Moon, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, Mars, and Saturn for those yogas.
Yeah,
See how
you
many
go from
planets
Sun to Saturn.
Yes, and they all have the Dhamma yoga, the wreath yoga, and
Mm-hmm.
they feel emotionally happy. I see they don't struggle like I do with my three signs yoga.
Yeah, because
They-
it's like three concentrated areas, like
yeah,
boom, boom, boom.
they're more kind of, let's say, more balanced uh,
Mm-hmm.
in a
Yeah,
way.
you become more balanced. And then the last one, which is probably the best one, is the Vina Yoga, where all seven are occupied. This is extremely rare. I've only had one client who had this, and their chart was amazing. I think it was Sun in Leo, Mercury in Virgo, Venus in Libra, Mars in Scorpio. And I'm thinking in my head, wow, this person's planets are, in their own rulerships, and the person
But
had a very decent, happy-go-lucky life. I was like really surprised. I'm like, I've never seen a chart like this. But yeah, so Vina Yoga is probably the best one to have. So I would say Vina and Gola are the most
yeah.
rarest ones to have.
So the Vina can be the happiest
So
people.
then,
The Vina.
yeah, they're the happiest people,
Okay.
right? Then the next one, is about the elements. They don't have a yoga name for this as far as I know, but it's considered a yoga, I believe. So if all of your planets, so basically you're just counting how many planets you got in fire, how many planets you have in earth, air, water, and then you'll fit more of the descriptions of these elements. So
Again,
like when we get
only
into our,
seven signs, yeah? Seven, sorry, the seven planets, not Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus. Just,
yeah, sorry.
yeah.
Yeah. So just if you're doing the counting yogas, just consider the traditional ruling planets. Not to say that the outer planets don't contribute, but I use them in a different way. But we'll get into that later. But for the sake of this class, we just stick with the traditional ruling planets. So I feel like these yogas will be important to know and memorize because it'll be relevant to the course I'll be teaching, the Raja, Artha, Karma, and Moksha yogas, because those yogas are similar to the elements. So if you have a lot of fire, then it's similar to having a Raja yoga where you could be enthusiastic or have some strong leadership skills, or you have a good sense of identity. And then the earth signs, you're more about, you know, your material world or financial stability. In the air signs, it's more about social interactions, relationships. And water signs is about emotions and feelings and um, tapping into your intuition and so on. Now, the next set of yogas are about how many planets that are distributed with the modalities. So that would be cardinal, fixed, and air. So if you have all of your planets, these are called Ashraya yogas. And so they have sub names to them. So Raju yoga or the rope yoga, it means all of your planets are in cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, and Libra, and Capricorn. So cardinal signs are about movability. They change their places of living a lot. They're very ambitious. They have strong entrepreneurial skills. They're similar to the angular houses. So these are action-oriented signs. So they're very initiative, pioneering, etc. Fixed signs, if all of your planets are there, then you can be very loyal, committed. Your lifestyle could be about security, stability, probably known as somebody who's very reliable and loyal. And oh yeah, another thing I forgot to mention about these yogas are cool to me because they can alter your physical features. So if you have all of your planets in the cardinal signs, then it kind of gives a person a narrow, like tall body, or their face is like kind of narrow.
Mm-hmm.
And if all of your planets are in fixed signs, then you kind of have a squarish look to your body and face. Like me, I don't have this yoga, but the majority of my planets are in fixed signs. So my body type is very square-ish, like,
Uh-huh.
and I notice people who have planets in mutable signs, like a whole lot of them, their weight fluctuations, they could either be really petite, small, or they could be overweight. They can have weight problems. Sometimes I've seen people being underweight or they can be overweight
Wow.
because they're mutable. So, because these are the dual signs, this is called Nala Yoga. So they're very flexible. They can go in either direction.
Ah, fascinating. I have the most of my 6 of 7 in cardinal. So
Hmm.
definitely I'm enterprising, action oriented, quick to quick
Yeah,
sequence, prosperous in foreign lands. This is something I find fascinating that cardinal signs they do better abroad.
they do. They absolutely do, because it's always about moving or being progressive, moving forward.
Mhm. Do you
So
count
these are
the
the,
ascendant here, or we don't look at the ascendant sign?
in this case, you don't have to, but if your ascendant sign is in these areas, then it can contribute to that. So again, uh, basically the concept of yoga is to teach, just basically teaching you the results of a chart. So it doesn't always have to be literal. They just get literal with the descriptions in extreme cases. That way, if you have a lesser effect, you can still be like, okay, it's only just one off. So the person will still be this way.
Yeah.
So like if all of your planets are in fixed, but you got one immutable, you can still give this person the description of being a fixed person.
Just see
Someone
where
who's loyal,
the
committed.
higher amount of planets are. Where is the most amount of planets in which of those signs?
Yeah, so this is just to help you where most of the planets are. But if you want to get super literal, then yeah, all of the planets do have to be in certain modalities. But if not, then that's okay. You can still use these descriptions to help you if you're a serious aspiring astrologer, and you kind of get stumped. You can give these descriptions because sometimes describing a planet in a sign in a house is not always easy.
Mhm.
So these little things can help you. It's like, okay, all the planets are over here, all the planets are over there. So then these little descriptions can help you.
That's what I always start analyzing a chart with. See where, and you call them yogas, but that's what it is. Where is the majority of planets? Is it fire? Is it cardinal? Is it mutable? Is it air? And you can see
Hmm.
so much about the person. For example, the mutable ones, they're great at taking something that already exists and improving it, making it better.
Hmm.
While the
Right.
cardinal ones, they like totally new things. There's like, this doesn't work. Oh, I'll do something new. The fixed ones,
Right.
they don't want to do new things. They want to take something and perpetuate it and carry it
Hmm.
on and on and on and on, maintain it. While the mutable ones, they'll take it, they'll fiddle with it, they'll improve it here, they'll learn more about it if it doesn't. And it
Hmm.
can apply to relationship. Mutable people, they would not try to throw out an old relationship, start a new one. Maybe they'll try to learn more about the other person, to you know try different things. Fixed people would want to stay in the same relationships. Cardinal people would like, okay, next one. So you all area.
Yeah. So cardinal signs are like that, where they like to start new projects and new things. And fixed signs are really good at carrying on a legacy. Like
Mm.
I've noticed that with fixed signs, because whatever has been established, fixed signs will continue to carry it on and make it more organized. And the mutable signs is about learning and healing. So any little glitches and mistakes, they can fix it. So I call them, they're like the Mr. Fix-Its, the healers, the learners, learning from, their other people's mistakes.
Uh-huh. Awesome,
So
exactly.
they're like the educators and the learners. And
Yeah.
then the next set of yogas are about gender. So how many planets do you have in male? How many planets do you have in female? So the male signs will be the fire and air signs. So the person will have more of a yang personality, someone who's extroverted, expressive, more logical, outgoing. Even if you're a female, you could exhibit these traits, someone who's more electrifying and exciting. They're more daylight people. And the female signs, which are water and earth, they're more introverted, more receptive, more emotionally understanding, and they go within more. And male signs have more of an external strength. Female signs have more of an internal strength.
Mhm.
So they both have strength. It's just expressed in a different way. Like women have a different kind of strength, like giving birth to a baby. That's internal strength. That requires a significant amount of strength that men do not have. So so that's how it can play out with the genders. And there's different kinds of male female yogas. So that was one of them. The second kind is called the checkered yogas. The checkered yogas is when all of your traditional ruling planets are in every other sign. So Karaka yoga is when all the planets are in the male signs. So it's like, you have one in Aries, one in Gemini, one in what's the next one? Leo, and it goes every other one. You skip one.
Oh my God,
And
that's
then
super rare to have.
yeah, I think I've only seen one person have it a long time ago. And then another person, I mean the female ones, it's Taurus, Cancer, and it goes like that. So they'll carry these traits and they can give special results. Like, so for a male, a person has great leadership skills, they're outgoing, and they live like a king. Like they carry great leadership qualities. And then the female signs, they are for some reason, they say they become more wealthy. I don't know what the logic is behind that, but they're more graceful in nature, attractive, likable, good with children. They're very feminine, and be very pleasant. And I think the reason why it creates happiness is because it creates either a sextile or a trine.
Yes, it makes,
Yeah.
yeah, when planets in just in one element, water or fire, and dispersed
Hmm.
around, maybe it
Yeah.
shouldn't be perfect, like you say, it shouldn't be exactly every other sign, but if they,
Mhm. If you can get close to it, then you can consider, okay, this person has somewhat of a Karaka yoga or a Samudra yoga. Even if it's only one planet off, you can still consider it's like, okay, you must be psychologically, healthy, because you can be a man and have a lot of planets and female signs, and that could, affect a person. Same thing for a woman. If a woman has a lot of planets in male, then that could,
mhm.
it can be difficult for them sometimes.
Oh yeah, because
But
then the
that,
woman, especially in relationship, I have all my planets in masculine, so you kind of become the leader in the relationship, and
right.
you do, and you forget how to rest. And women, it's very important for women's health to rest, to take care of themselves, to stop, to relax. That's the feminine energy, and it's hard to access it.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's yeah.
And then the next set of yogas that are related to gender is called Mahabhiago Yoga. I don't know if I pronounced it right. I always have a hard time pronouncing these Hindu words, but it just basically means great fortune. This one is a little different. Basically, it's about this is more focused on the pillars of your chart, which are the ascendant, sun, and moon.
Mhm.
And if it's a day chart or a night chart. So this is not specific to the other planets. It's just more about the ascendant, sun, and moon, which represents body, soul, and mind. So if you're a guy and you're born in the daytime and your ascendant, sun, and moon are in male, then that would be considered a Mahabhagya yoga. And if you're a female, like born a female, and your night chart, which means the sun is below the horizon,
Mhm.
and the ascendant, sun, and moon are in female signs, then you have this yoga. So whichever one you have, the kind of results you get would be good fortune, unconflicted with your gender,
Mhm.
and it's easier for the person to get along with the opposite sex. Same with the checkered yoga, and it makes it easier for the person to play their gender role in this incarnation, and it does bring psychological happiness and psychological security.
Well, I
So,
can
and
give you an example. Donald Trump has it. He's a male, born during the day, ascendant in Leo, sun in Gemini, moon in
mhm.
Sagittarius. He's the macho, and he's not conflicted with his gender.
Right. So there's no confliction, there's no insecurities, because that happens a lot to people where, a woman with all male planets or a male with all female planets, it does affect them psychologically. Because sometimes people will try to overcompensate, like, I'm a man, I'm a man, I'm a man, because they're trying to overcompensate so much of the feminine energy that they have.
Absolutely. And then you see, like, I also know that this, when you have as a male, this, you have success easier. and in the
Mm-hmm.
external world. While for women, they receive things easier if they have all the sun, moon, ascendant in female signs, and a night chart. They kind of they attract the good things to them without external effort so much. So while for men,
Yeah.
they make it in the world outside, just like Donald Trump, it was very easy for him to, to make a fortune and everything. So it's
Yeah. And this can also have an interesting effect with what kind of career you choose too. So, like, if a woman has all of her planets in male signs, um, then sometimes they will have successful careers by doing manly things, whether it's, and I'm only speaking stereotypically. I'm not trying to,
Mhm.
offend anybody, but, women who play sports or athleticism or have their own business, they're entrepreneurs, they're tough and strong, but then they may find it hard to date, or they force themselves to calm down when the real them is to be extroverted and outgoing, make the first move, and so it does have a psychological effect on them where they kind of force themselves to be more timid, more feminine, to attract a male, and it could work the other way around too for men.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the
So yeah.
story of my life.
So yeah, I'm gonna use your can I use your chart for an
Oh,
example?
sure.
Okay. I'm gonna use Lotus chart
Oh, wow.
and just show all these yogas, and then I'm gonna give a brief description of the yogas that I'll be teaching in the course. So let me come out of this. Let me stop share. Okay, I'm gonna share another screen. So we have Lotus chart. Yeah, can you see it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Let me get this going. So, all right. So let's start with the counting yoga. So, which is seeing how many zodiac signs are being occupied by the 7 traditional ruling planets. So she has 4 planets in Aries, 1 planet in Leo, and the other 2 planets in Libra. So she has a Shula yoga. And we already described what that does. It's kind of like a person who's an entrepreneur or someone who's very independent or kind of has a Marsy type of
But also
personality.
stressed.
Yeah.
Too intense.
And the majority of the planets are on fire too, so she's very inspiring and electrifying personality. So these are very simplistic yogas that you can kind of see in a person.
Yeah, so psychological. Exactly.
Yeah. So I also wanted to point out um, the yogas that I'll be teaching in the class. Basically, the class is about combining house lords.
Hmm.
So if a good prerequisite, if you're somebody who has already taken Lada's Secrets of the 12 Signs and Secrets of the 12 Houses, then that is a great prerequisite to have
Or,
because you've
or if
already,
you know sign, if you know what it means, how to see
yeah.
rulers of houses, and
Hmm.
know how to see this planet is conjunct this planet or aspect this planet. That's what you need.
Yeah, like if you can get a generic description of, okay, the second lord is in the ninth, and you know what that does. Generally, of course, planet and sign gives very specific description, but if you can get a generic description, then you've already learned 144.
Hmm.
That's a lot. That's a lot of yogas. So one yoga that I want to point out in Lotus chart is called the Raja Yoga, which is about following your dharma, following your purpose in life, and what makes you happy. So the most important house to look at is the first house because it's about your immediate surroundings, your health, and your body. So where are you headed? So she's an Aquarius ascendant, and and Saturn is the ruler of Aquarius. So she has the ascendant Lord in the ninth,
Hmm.
and it's being aspected by Mercury. So Mercury rules houses 5 and 8.
Hmm.
So what makes this a Raj Yoga is that you got an angular house combining with a trinal house. So basically, she's got the first lord being aspected by the fifth lord and the eighth lord at the same time. So basically, you're just combining all of these meanings in one area. So if you know what the ninth house is about, it's about foreign countries, pilgrimage, education, teaching, and it's being in her Saturn is being influenced by Mercury. Mercury rules houses five, so that's about creative intelligence. Um, it's one of the lucky houses, so things that she finds, fun activities or children. And then Mercury also rules the eighth house, which is about occult sciences. So her purpose in life is to be an educator of occult sciences. And it's something that she would be intelligent in because Mercury rules intelligence. It rules the fifth house, which is another house of intelligence. And Mercury being aspected by Saturn, it's a big part of who she is because she is the Saturn person because Saturn is ruled by the first house. Now Saturn is ruled by Capricorn too, which is the 12th house, which is a moksha house. So spirituality, another house of foreign lands. So you're combining so many things all at one time. And I didn't even mention Jupiter yet. The Jupiter part, let me clear all of this. So Jupiter being so close to Saturn, it's like putting extra emphasis on, okay, this person is a well-educated person. And Jupiter rules houses 2 and 11. And 2 is one of the Artha houses. So she has a Raja Yoga and an Artha Yoga at the same time. And it's a Kama Yoga because 11th house is the Kama house. So houses 2 and 11 are wealth associated houses. So this is also a wealth yoga.
Yeah.
So she has so many things going on with just Saturn and Jupiter. I didn't even touch the other planets yet. So you can get so much information by combining house lords. So you can read descriptions of Saturn and Jupiter on the internet all day long. But the purpose of learning yogas is that you can get more in depth by understanding how to combine house lords. So it's more than just Saturn and Jupiter conjunction. It's more than Saturn being aspected by Mercury, because it's more than just the planets. It's about the houses that they rule. So like when a lot of people will ask, a big question in the astrology community is like, what if your fifth house is empty? What if you don't have any planets in this house and that house? You look at the ruling planet, you look at the lords and see how they're being conjoined and combined.
Exactly. And look how much you can see just from looking what aspects the rule of the first house, because the rule of the first house is you, and it immediately
Mm-hmm.
describes what I do. Rule of the first and ninth, I teach with Jupiter. Teach what does Jupiter rule? 11th house,
Mm-hmm.
social influence. That's a Kama yoga. Kama means
Yeah.
to be connected to many people. Uh,
Many people. Yeah.
and
That's why you're so popular, because your ascendant lord is with the 11th lord, and the 11th lord is about large communities, specifically about occult sciences, because both of these planets are being aspected by Mercury, and Mercury is the lord of the 8th house, another moksha house.
wow. And so yeah, I teach those moksha things are the spiritual things. What moksha things
Yeah.
are spiritual, astrology, soul, ascension, whatever you wanna.
Yeah. So
Wow, that's and
so there's a lot of spirituality involved in it too.
it's like your path is predetermined type of,
Yeah.
you think
And
you
then
did it on your own. No, it's like you came with a plan here, you're following the plan.
hmm and another cool thing is that you can also look at from the moon's perspective, which I find to be useful and revealing. So if we look at her chart, the moon chart, so when you listen to a video that say, okay, listen for your rising sun and moon, you can apply yogas from the moon and sun's perspective. But I look at ascendant, moon, and sun in that order because the spin of the wheel, the faster it moves, the more personal it is. So the ascendant changes the fastest by how many hours it goes. And the
Wow.
moon changes, the moon is the minute to the hour. So every time the moon makes one full circle around the zodiac, the sun has moved 30 degrees, like a big clock.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So that's why you pay attention to the moon, then the sun. At least that's my opinion.
So the ascendant is like the seconds, the moon is like the minutes, the sun is like
Sun
the
is the hour.
hours. Yeah.
Yeah, so I look at the moon a lot. And even from the moon's perspective, it's so relevant because you got the, let's see, your moksha person, because moon rules the 12, and then the ascendant lord. Oh, look, again, an educator,
Mm.
someone who travels, someone who's in foreign countries with the fourth lord. So this even shows property, like living in a, literally living in a foreign place, in a foreign country.
Yeah.
Yeah, so from both angles,
Yeah.
it's supporting, what you do for a living in the circumstances of your life.
Wow.
Yeah, and then you can, get crazy with it by interpreting all of them, Venus and Mars and Mercury and the sun, that's a lot of planets. But yeah, and even with relationships, like if we wanted to look at relationships, got the seventh lord in the third. Isn't your husband a Libra?
He's a Libra rising.
Libra. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like the ascendant lord is in Libra, and you met him under third house circumstances, from what I
Traveling.
remember, right?
Traveling. Yeah.
Traveling. Okay. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right.
Exactly. Third house.
Yep.
Fascinating. Well,
Yeah.
you can learn so much about life just by seeing the ruler of one house into another. And you're
Mm-hmm.
focusing in that course on how people can calculate what is their main life path and what the different life
Mm-hmm.
paths mean. That will be the first day.
Hmm.
And then the
Yeah.
second day, because people can buy the two of them separately. If someone just wants the four paths in life, or if someone just isn't that how it was going to be? I think.
Yeah. The first course will be about the four passing lives, and to me, that course is so important because it applies to everyone here on Earth. And it could really help you figure out what you're meant to do or why you're even here. Like, why did God put me here on this earth? What am I supposed to do?
Mm.
So even if it's something bad and tragic, I've seen charts where they have a difficult life path, but some people have thrived through that, or they write books about their difficult lives and they could help other people. So you can really learn about yourself and what you're meant to do.
Mhm.
Even if you have a difficult, life, if you were abused um, or just had a lot of bad experiences, you can learn from those mistakes and how to overcome them.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I think that one is the most important. The other one will be specifically about wealth.
Okay.
You know,
So in the first one, you cover the four paths and the Viprit yogas, the horrible things that happen.
yeah,
You can
Viprit
make.
yogas will be about overcoming. The reason why I wanted to teach that one because it'll help you if you have a difficult chart.
Mhm.
Viprit Raj yogas will help you figure out how to overcome the
Mhm.
difficulties and stress over your life.
Mhm.
Because some people have difficult charts and
And
difficult.
if you have a Viprit yoga, you get knocked down, you get up, and you make a success out of it. But if you don't have
Exactly.
it, you get knocked down and you moan all your life, or let's say not moan, but you find it hard to make sense of it and turn it for your good. There are sometimes
Right.
charts as well.
Right. Yes. I also wanted to show you the actress Jennifer Jason Lee. Remember we talked about the Gola Yoga?
Oh
This is one
yes.
of the rare people in the world who have this. So she has Moon, Venus, Jupiter, Sun, Mercury, Saturn, Mars, all in the ninth house.
Wow.
So I don't know much about her, but from what I read about her, um, when I watch her interviews, because I'm a astro geek and a weirdo, but I watch and observe people a lot. When I watch her interviews, I notice she's kind of stiff, like she comes off uncomfortable, and
Mhm.
that would be typical of somebody who has a cluster of planets in one house, because it can kind of make a person socially awkward because
Mhm.
you can't. It's hard to grasp other aspects of life. So they become real stiff or socially awkward. And even the kind of movies that she plays, from what I've read, are kind of like where she's playing roles where there's some kind of psychological imbalances.
Oh well.
And And one movie that she played that I did see, and I love this movie, it's called Single White Female. Have you ever seen that movie?
No,
It's
no.
a good movie. It's a movie about where she is obsessed with her roommate. She tries to look like her, she tries to dress like her, and at the end of the movie, you find out that she was born a twin, but her twin died, and it messed her up psychologically. So when she meets other girls, she tries to look like them, try to be them,
Oh my
and she
God.
becomes obsessed with them. And in the movie, she's kind of awkward and shy, but she wants to interact, but then she's kind of aloof and distant too,
That's
because she's
exactly what this yoga is.
yeah. So she has a Gola Yoga in Aquarius, so it's like a social sign, but it's also a socially distant sign. And she's a Gemini ascendant. So when I think Gemini, I think of you could people who have a lot of good acting skills usually have Gemini influences, and she was playing a twin in the movie.
Oh my God. So, yeah,
Yeah, so it's a good movie.
I've seen this kind of awkwardness even with six planets in the same sign or
hmm Even
five.
six, yeah, six or five.
It's hard. It's a bit harder to connect and to see other. It's an imbalance, but it's also there is an obsessive tinge to such people. And I have four
They
planets
are
in sign.
obsessive.
And there is nervous energy and there is a bit of obsession when you have four or more planets in a sign. I've just noticed it that it's there. It's psychological. They might be fascinating, but they're not fully psychologically relaxed within themselves.
Yeah, right. And even in Aquarius, as far as property goes, maybe we talked about property off camera, but Aquarius rules areas that are related to islands. And her father, this is Sun in Aquarius in the ninth house with malefics, Saturn and Mars. Her father was also an actor, Vic Morrow. He died in a really serious accident. He was gonna play in a movie in the Twilight Zone,
Uh-huh.
and on the set, he was on an island, and there was like a helicopter, and the helicopter blade cut his head off.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and the daughter, which is Jennifer Jason Leigh, her and her family, I think they sued the company or the pilot. I forget what the story is, but there was a lawsuit, and ninth house rules the law.
And the father.
And the father.
No.
Sun is here in the ninth house. So yes, sun, father, ninth house, the law. And so you got a mixed bag of like benefic planets, waxing moon and Venus and Jupiter, but then you also have cruel planets, Saturn and Mars. So it's a lot going on at the same time. So you're gonna get mixed results.
Yeah. So basically, it's much better to have what we call it in Western astrology a splash, where planets are just
hmm
burst all over. And in Western astrology, you say, well, it's a weak horoscope, but actually, these are happier people because when something is not going well in one area of their life, they can put their focus on another area and they can psychologically
Right.
balance it. Here, with a person like that and someone like my horoscope, which is again very just three signs, when one thing is not going, you get obsessed and you just keep thinking about it and you don't have other resources where to psychologically to put your attention on. So that is a tough one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's all the examples that I had. Did you want me to look at your husband's chart?
He has very much easier.
Yeah, his planets are all dispersed. So he has Saturn. Okay, we got Sagittarius, Capricorn, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I forget the name of the yoga, but similar
Nina,
like
the wreath one, the sixth
the
one.
wreath one, right? So he's more of somebody who's more charitable in nature.
He's very easygoing. He's
Yeah, easygoing, psychologically happy.
yep. Yep.
Yeah.
He looks at me and thinks I'm crazy. That and I'm like, you're crazy. Why don't you worry about everything?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, he has that yoga as well. Okay, so
Well,
That's pretty much everything I wanted to say.
thank you so much, Darren. If
You're
anyone would
welcome.
like to learn with Darren the most pivotal yogas, the course
Hmm.
will be on May. What was it? Second.
14th or 13th.
I think that was it. Um, May 15th and 16th.
Yeah.
That Saturday and Sunday, you need to know how to see rulers because he's not going to teach you what planet rules what sign. At least you need to
Hmm.
see from using whole sign house system how to see rulers so you can be calculating them as it goes. He'll be giving you explanations and so you can also the second part will be wealth and poverty yogas. Which ones
Hmm.
have more to? Are you tied to more wealth or to more poverty and so on? And at the end
Right.
we'll do both days answers and questions.
Hmm.
And of course, you own the course and you can access it. Or if you'd like a reading with Darren, because you don't want to learn all those yogas, you can services and he can do a special reading for you for your yogas because he's master of yogas and planetary rulers. I think that's his biggest strength. He's amazing at that. Thank you so much, Darren. Love seeing your
You're welcome.
beautiful smile
Thank
and
you. It's
your
good to see you
kind
too.
heart. And yeah, wishing you luck on your first course. I'm very excited how it will go. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.